Welcome to another episode of the Black and Gold Report presented by Pepsi, a show all about UNC Pembroke athletics. I'm Cameron Songer, and on this week's show, we'll talk about the spring football season with UNCP football head coach Shane Richardson. We'll also get an update on the baseball season so far with head coach Paul O'Neill. But first, it's my pleasure to be joined in studio by UNCP football head coach Shane Richardson. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me back, Cameron.
Spring football is right around the corner. The Braves open up spring practice on March 14th on the practice fields behind Grace P. Johnson Stadium. Talk about these last few months since the end of the 2015 campaign. What has your team been doing?
Yeah, we've gone through 8 weeks of great preparation, and we let them go this morning for spring break, and our head strength coach, the staff, they were in there and they reiterated to him and said, this is one of the best 8 weeks of winter workouts that we've ever been through. And we've really tried to hit it hard in the weight room. We were going about 4 days a week in the weight room with another on the field day as the 5th day. And then this year we were able to do something a little bit different that the NCAA allowed us to do. And we went with a couple of skill development sessions on the field where the coaches were actually able to get involved with coaching football specific drills. And so we've been able to incorporate that the last roughly 5 weeks or so, and then we're able to watch some film with them. And so it's been good because I think sometimes you go from 8 weeks of only strength and conditioning, and then all of a sudden you flip the switch and go spring ball, and we were able to kind of gradually transition into that this year, and it's been great. Also, I think it's important to add, we've had some leadership training and some young leaders that have stepped up this spring that I think are really going to contribute to our team. And we've got about 12 of those guys right now that are taking the lead on groups of what we call platoons in each portion of the team, and just been doing a fantastic job of being on board and communicating the messages of the coaching staff and of the program and being able to relate that. And we've talked about having more initiators on the team, and we're really seeing those guys come to light, and these last 8 weeks have been great for that.
Talk about the makeup of spring ball, how many practices the NCAA allows, and I know there are a few practices that you will only be in just helmets on the field.
Yep, so we get 15 practices total, and 3 of those days will be in helmets only. So the first couple days will be in helmets only, and then after that we'll go into full pads, and then typically that day right before the spring game will be another helmet day that we try to just prep for the scrimmage and make sure that everybody's on the same page there. But in those 15 days, what we're going to try to do is be as extremely efficient as we can, and we want to get a lot of football done. I think it's important that guys learn and develop during spring ball, and we don't have a game to prepare for. We don't have an opponent that we necessarily have to scout, and so we need to teach our guys football concepts, football principles. They need to learn the game of football during this time when it's somewhat of a slower pace where we can kind of slow it down. We can get on the board a little bit longer. We can get in the film room a little bit longer, and we'll have days in between those practices to be able to do that. And so I'm really looking forward to this time. It's one of my favorite times of the year, other than obviously playing on Saturdays. I love that too. But I really love the teaching portion of it, and I love being able to spend time with guys, help coach them and teach them and guide them to learn what we're doing and to have them understand it better, and that's what spring ball will be. We'll look forward to that, and it'll be great competition, and I'm really looking forward to it.
You'll see a more experienced group on the practice fields this spring. The Braves return 17 starters, including 9 on offense. What has you excited about spring ball?
Well, I think just we talked about as a staff, and we broke down, hey, what contributed to our 6 wins last year? What contributed to the 4 losses last year? And we came up with a couple concepts, and one of the concepts that I think is it's very simple. It's nothing earth-shattering, but we're going into our 3rd year of the program since I've taken over as head coach, and 3 is more than 2. 2 is more than 1, and so I like to see a gradual incline of guys embracing what we're doing, guys understanding the flow of what our expectations are, and then being able to put those into practice at a very high level, and confidence is going to be something that I want to see this spring. I want to see guys out there playing with confidence, practicing and preparing with confidence. Another element that needs to come out of it is our football team needs to get tougher and grittier. And it sometimes goes without saying, but I mean, football is a contact sport where you're going to need tough guys to line up, and it's going to be uncomfortable at times. We're going to train it. We've been training it. We're going to put the pads on and we're going to train it, and we're going to make sure that guys understand that when we get to the fall, we've already been in a lot of situations so that we can be prepared for the adversity that strikes and the tough circumstances that come our way. And so a couple of those things right there I'm really excited to see.
It's time for us to take our first break on the Black and Gold Report. When we come back, we're still talking spring football with UNCP football coach Shane Richardson, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report, joined once again by UNCP football head coach Shane Richardson. Talk about the importance of spring ball. You don't play any outside competition, so what benefits do you get from seeing your guys for 14 to 15 practices?
Well, you get to see really how they're going to continue to grow and develop as opposed to implementing a game plan each week. And sometimes you get so caught up in an opponent and seeing what they're doing that you kind of miss the mark on maybe what your guys should stay focused on and how they should stay the course. Well, I think being able to just go against each other and having us in an environment where you can have all eyes on one team, you can really track that development a lot better. And so throughout the spring, we talked about it last night at a team meeting. We have 3 goals on the field in our actions that never change. And number 1 is to play full speed to the whistle. And it doesn't matter what position group. I don't coach every position group. I don't have a hand in every position group, but I know that I can coach them full speed until the whistle blows, and I want to see that. The second goal that we talk about on the field is play your best this play. And that refers to if you have a bad play, you got to flush it. You got to get ready for the next play. If a quarterback throws an interception, if a running back fumbles the ball, if a receiver or an offensive lineman misses a block, runs a wrong route, if a defensive player misses a tackle, if he blows a coverage, lets the deep ball get behind him, whatever it is, we've got to flush whatever happens in the game of football and know that you got one play right now in the moment to focus and play your best this play. So I want to see that also. And then ultimately, at the end, we talk about this a lot. This deals with when we actually get into the season, and I think it's great to be able to train this now, and it goes along with just kind of what you're asking, Cameron, is it's how we play, not who we play. And so whether we're getting ready to open up with Winston-Salem or Fayetteville State or whoever we've got on the schedule, or if it's ourselves during spring ball, it's how we do things. And I want to see our habits and the things that we talk about as a program and as a team, the fundamentals that we try to incorporate. It needs to be really focused on how we do it at an extremely high level and really going towards the commitment of excellence that we talk about as a program.
Your offensive line will return relatively intact for the 2016 season. What are you hoping to see from that group over the course of spring practice?
I talked about the toughness, grittiness factor. I think it always starts with the offensive line. And so those guys need to be extremely gritty up front. And we talk about it as a staff. You know, we don't want to do anything extra after the whistle. We don't want to do anything unethical or anything like that. And we want to be safe and smart with our own team. But I want to see those guys practice with a grittiness and a toughness every single day that they come out. And a lot of those guys are back. They know the expectations. They've been in the system. And so I really think that will bode well for them to just continue to develop and go along this spring with enhancing their skills, enhancing their knowledge of what we're doing, and be able to just kind of go with that and take the next step forward. And so I think that group has come together very, very well. And 2 years ago, we were sitting here, and you know, it was a tough-looking group in the sense of the O-line, and we had to makeshift that group. We're getting to the point now where they've been together. We've been able to solidify a group. They're training together. They know the expectations. We're adding great pieces all the time with this new recruiting class coming in, and I really expect them to continue to move forward in a great way.
The 10th annual Black and Gold Spring Game is scheduled for Thursday, April 14th at Grace P. Johnson Stadium, a 6 o'clock kickoff under the lights, and it is free admission. What will be the format for this year's game, and what differences are you hoping to see from your team between now and then?
That's always a tough question to answer at this point in time. Spring game, everybody wants to break up into two teams and play against each other, and I think our kids really like that. And ideally, I think it'd be great too. Sometimes you don't have that luxury, and it depends on the depth of certain positions. Usually the positions up front with the offensive and defensive lines, you got to be just mindful of where those guys are at. Sometimes you just need to kind of keep a rotation where you're basically just kind of going ones versus ones, twos versus twos, and trying to give guys as many breaks as possible. You want to try to create a scrimmage-like atmosphere and things of that nature, but I think we're going to have to make that decision once we get a little bit closer and get through the spring here. What I do like about what we're going to do for the 15 days, and it'll go along with the spring game, is there'll be some sort of competition no matter what it is. And we've incorporated a couple of those built in every day in practice. I think that's a really important element in just practicing with ourselves, and it kind of goes back to your earlier question, but there's going to be great competition amongst ourselves, and we're going to keep track of it. And every day there's going to be team scenarios where the offense and the defense is going to go against each other, and there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. And that's how you've got to train it, because that's what happens on Saturdays in the fall. And then we're going to hold guys accountable for mental mistakes, alignment, assignments, them knowing where they're supposed to be. And there's going to be a competition within that also on offense and defensive sides of the ball. And so there'll be great competition that's created throughout spring ball, but then I really look forward to the spring game to just finishing it off the right way, give the kids an opportunity to have some fun, but finish it well and being able to compete against each other at the same time.
Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Cameron, for having me, and we'll look forward to seeing you again, and have a great rest of the spring.
Coming up in just a bit, we'll talk to UNCP baseball head coach Paul O'Neill. We'll be right back on the Black and Gold Report.